session to order. Sergeant at Arms will please secure the chamber doors. Members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right. Senator from District 6 wanted to give an invocation. Is it? Sure, let's do it. We've been waiting for the right moment. While folks are joining. So members, our distinguished senator from the 6th District will give us our invocation for this afternoon session. Please rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's really been an extraordinary year this year because we have a lot of good senators that are leaving us. I think we have tugged from our hearts, we have thought with our minds about the right words to say. And sometimes it's hard to just say that right thing. But one thing I know we can do, we can say a prayer. We can say a prayer within our heart. We can say the right words to God. And when we do that, we can ask Him to do the right thing for them. So I'd like to do that in word today. And I'd like to do that with our good friends that are leaving us here. But I know there's great things ahead for them. So let us pray. Dear precious and loving Heavenly Father, God, you have done so much for us. And Lord, we'll never be able to do enough for you, but we are willing to continue to work and work hard and steady in ways that we pray that we can make a difference. God, we thank you for these great opportunities that you've given us. We are in a place of responsibility. We are in a place that we are capable to work together and to make a difference for our community, for our county, and for our state. And those that have been here for maybe 10, 20, 30, or even 40 years or longer have done that and done it well. So I pray for each and every senator, every family, every person here, that you'll bless them, that you'll keep them in your care, that you'll just strengthen them and have done all to do. I pray, God, that they'll continue to do the work that you called them to do. I pray that you help out each one that are going to not walk back in these doors as senators, but as good citizens. So bless them. Keep them in your care. God, give them another divine calling out in the world to do your work. God, we love you so much because you first loved us. So bless this day, bless this time, until, God, we can say at the end the right two words. We love you and we praise you. And we all ask this in your holy and most precious name. And everyone will say it. Amen.
All right. Chair recognizes the Minority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, if we could journalize those wonderful words.
Without objection, we will journalize the remarks. Thank you on behalf of our retiring senators. One moment. All right, we have a quick technology reset happening. All right, I think we're good. Let's just double check. I want to make sure that it's running. All right, we're good. Excellent. All right, has everyone recorded their presence in the chamber? Senator from Baltimore County, chair of the delegation, and Montgomery County? Our delegation chairs. Clerk will take the call. With 47 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Senators, on your desks, hopefully one last little token gift from the archives. We have such an incredible archives. They are really remarkable folks doing some extraordinary things. And I'd asked if there was something that we could remember the session by in this term. And so you have with you the John Shaw flag, which was the flag that flew in the Capitol at the time when the State House was the national, was our landmark capital. And so this was the flag made by John Shaw, the cabinet maker. And then secondarily, we were able to get a children's book about the Maryland's Y Oak, which has quite a storied history. And, you know, we got quite the history of it with the turns of the gavel, of the Senate gavel that was provided, so which was made from the Y Oak. So hopefully it's a nice little way to remember our final 444th legislative session here in this historic building. So, Chair, do we want to do introductions? Other introductions?
No, I've got a question.
Senator
I've got a
from
question.
I'm sorry, Senator from the 42nd.
Thank you. I noticed in the little handout we got about the John Shaw flag that
Yes.
the State House opened in 1783, and the suggestion here was it would be fitting to return this historic flag to the Rotunda for the 250th anniversary, which would be next year. Is there any thought to reproducing this flag and hanging it once again in the Rotunda?
I believe that the archives has been looking into that, so there are talks of the possibility.
Good.
Maybe a foreshadowing of things to come. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County.
Yes, Mr. President. I volunteered to sew one myself. So
All
we can
right.
hang it
Well, there
up
we go. Well, we don't even have to procure it. We've got it.
Or at least glue one together.
All right. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, in the gallery right above the president's head is a dear, dear friend of mine, Shafiq Hinton. I've known him for more than a decade when he was a student at the Frostburg State University, and since then he's gone on to do big things and committing himself to the community. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming Shafiq to the chambers this afternoon.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Senator from the 34th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple introductions, if I could. First, as a floor-only guest, I have my daughter, Ellie Castley Simmons. Stand up, Ellie. You got some of you will remember.
This is Children's Day, right?
Ellie,
We have all
yeah.
the
So last night he died. Ellie left us. She'd been working with MDOT. She saw on some of your committees on some of the bills. And last night he died. She left, joined the Maryland National Guard, and so she's actually still with. I mean, she's with the National Guard still. So not dressed
Wonderful.
like that right now, but she's so.
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here, and thanks for your service to our state too. Thank you.
And then also behind Mr. President there is my former delegate Andrew Castley with the governor's staff. Just to introduce him as well. Andrew, good to see you.
Wonderful. Welcome. Welcome.
And then just so you know, we have you boxed in. Back up behind us is my chief of staff, Genevieve Foley.
Yes.
So,
Hello
thank you.
there. Thank you for being here. Chair recognizes the senator from the 37th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my husband of 58 years over here on my left. Yes, thank you very much. My lover, friend, and confidant, Dick Eggert. Thank you.
Great to see you. Great. Thanks so much for coming today. Senator from District 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator, I forgot to say in my snow report that this is Garrett County's 150th anniversary this year, in case you want to come up and party. But I'm bringing them in shifts today, Mr. President.
Wonderful.
I'm real pleased to have granddaughter number 2 here, and some of you that were here 6 years ago will remember her as a page. This is Emma. Please give her a warm Senate welcome.
Welcome back, Emma. Welcome back. All right. Any other introductions before we jump into things? Scheduling wise, look, it's 4 o'clock now. We're going to go for about an hour, get through as much as we can. We'll probably break around 5 and then come back after the dinner hour. 11:59. No, no. We will come back probably 7:30ish or so, somewhere around there. Don't think that we will go all the way through, but we will kind of give committees the opportunity to finish out some last minute stuff in between there. But it'll be an off and on. We'll make it work. It's all good. We're almost there. So with that, so we consider the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We have a message from the House, yeas and nays. Clerk will read the bills.
Senate Bill 179, Chair, Budget and Taxation Committee, Energy Performance Contracts Duration.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. Message number 16. Clerk will read the bills.
Senate Bill 28, Senator Kelly, Home and Community-Based Services Waiver, Participation and Application.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. We have some first reading House bills. First reading House bills. That is close. Clerk will read the bills.
House Bill 44, Delegate Hornberger, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, Emergency Service Transporters Reimbursement Rules.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. They will be referred to the Standing Committee on Rules. We have a Senate bill out of judicial proceedings, report number 51. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 265, Senator Lee, Probation Before Judgment, Probation Agreements, Probation Not Deportation.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, as amended, is identical to SB 559, which passed second reader this morning. The bill authorizes a court, with the consent of the state's attorney, to place a defendant on probation before judgment if the court finds facts justifying a finding of guilt. There are 3 committee amendments. Committee number 1 adds a co-sponsor. Committee number 2 is technical. Committee number 3 conforms the bill to HB 559 by specifying that this disposition is equivalent to a probation before judgment for any other purposes and requires the consent of the state's attorney before a court may use this procedure. Move favorable to the committee report with amendments.
All right. Floor leader moves for the adoption of 3 committee amendments in the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the minority leader.
I wonder if the floor leader could yield for a question.
Certainly.
Floor leader yield for a question.
Thank you. So what would be the circumstances, I was looking through the reprint, what would be the circumstances whereby a judge would be able to stay deportation if they got a PBJ, or what?
No, what happens is, federal immigration law treats like a PBJ like a conviction. But Maryland, it's not considered like a conviction, as long as you don't violate the terms of the PBJ. So what this does is that they find facts justifying a finding of guilt, and so it doesn't enter in as like a conviction. It's similar to what they did in Virginia, but in this case, the way we amended this, you have to get the approval from the state's attorneys before you ask for this. And also, if the individual violates the terms of the PBJ, then everything goes back to as if he was charged, and there is no they can be there's no right to appeal, and it just goes forward just as like a conviction.
Thank you for the explanation. So this is for people who are in the country here on a visa, or here as a legal immigrant, and
yeah, it's for legal immigrants. Sometimes it applies to federal employees too, or people that. But most importantly, this will help like an individual who may not be a citizen yet, and maybe committed a minor nonviolent offense, just like someone else who is a citizen, and they get a PBJ. But then meanwhile they've gone on with their life. They've been a leader in the community, and they've served in military, this and that, and everything. And when they find out. They're now subject to deportation just because they got a PBJ, even though they never violated the PBJ terms.
So this applies, but this wouldn't apply to someone who's an undocumented immigrant. This would only apply to somebody who's legally present, but just could be.
I think it applies to everybody.
Okay. Mr. President, I'd ask that the bill and the amendment lie over under the rules.
All right, the senator has moved to lay the bill over. Are there any objections? Without objection, the bill.
I think you know, we don't have much time. We already moved the House bill through second. Okay, never mind. All right.
Without
All
objection, the bill and the amendment will lie over under the rule. All right. We have some messages to read. House Bill 285. Clerk will read the first message.
House Bill 285, Delegate Jones. Property tax credit, disabled law enforcement officers and rescue workers, federal police, and criminal investigators. By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates refuses to concur in the Senate amendments and respectfully requests the Senate recede from its position. Said bills return herewith by order Sylvia Seeger, Chief Clerk.
Message having been read is ordered journalized. Clerk will read the next message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate does not recede in the Senate amendments and respectfully requests the House reconsider and concur. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the Senate appoints Senator Elfreth, Chair, Senator Young, Senator Eckert. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
Message having been read is ordered adopted. We've got a conference committee report that was special ordered earlier in the prior legislative day. This is House Bill 1100. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 1100, Delegate Queen, Child Care Providers and Employees Bonuses.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery County on the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended by both chambers, HB 1100 deals with the distribution of funds for fiscal 2023. In making that change, some other dates were inadvertently not changed, and the conference amendments correct that. I move approval.
All right, the Conference Committee Chair moves that we adopt the Conference Committee report. Any discussion? Any objections to the motion? Without objection, the Conference Committee report is adopted. Are there any, House Bill 1100 is now on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1100 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. And senators, we're going to have conference committees and concurrences and non-concurrences, so we're not going to have very many third reader calendars. So if senators are out of the room, we probably aren't going to be able to ring the bell. So we're just going to do the best we can. If we're in session, expect third reader votes to be coming, and you've got to be in your seat to vote. In your seat to vote. All right. Senate Bill 704. Clerk will read the message.
Senate Bill 704, Senator Heddleman, Conditions of Pretrial Release, Home Detention Monitoring, Alterations and Extension. By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates does not recede in the House amendments to the Senate bill and agrees to a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The Senate has appointed Senator Heddleman, Chairman, Senator Carter, Senator Bailey. The House appoints Delegate Moon, Chair, Delegate Williams, Delegate Shoemaker. Said bill is returned herewith by order Sylvia Seeger, Chief Clerk.
Message having been read is ordered adopted. We've got a not concur calendar, not concur. We really mean it this time. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 763, Senator Signor, Public Safety and Criminal Procedure Collection, Reporting, and Publication of Criminal Case and Prosecutorial Information, Maryland Criminal Justice Data Transparency Act.
Chair recognizes Chair of the Committee on the House amendments.
Thank you. The motion is not to concur. The House amendments required an annual report by the Commission on Criminal Sentencing to identify certain information of crimes of violence. They did it by circuit. We did have more granular reporting. Requires the Commission to include certain information, alters the provisions for the independent investigator. So we moved unanimously not to concur.
All right. Chairman moves that we not concur without objection. Are there any objections to the Senator's motion? Without objection, the Senate does not concur with the House amendments. Clerk will read the message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House recede from its position. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the Senate appoints Senator Smith, Chair, Senator Wall Stryker, Senator West. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
Message having been read is adopted. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 861, Senator Bidle, Public Safety, Firearms, Crimes Enforcement Center, Offenses and Procedures.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on the House Amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendments removed a couple of provisions that we had in the Senate. The most prominent ones are they removed theft of a handgun and use of a firearm during the commission of a drug deal as a 14101 offense, a crime of violence. So we move not to concur unanimously.
All right, the Chair moves to not concur. Any objections to the motion? Without objection, the Senate rejects the House amendments. Clerk will read the message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House recede from its position. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the Senate appoints Senator Smith Chair, Senator Lee, Senator Bailey. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
Message having been read is ordered adopted. All right, we've got a concurrence calendar. Out of Budget and Tax, number 39. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 448, Senator King, Education, Regional Resource Centers and Libraries Funding.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on the House Amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendments make the bill identical to the one that the Senate passed.
All right, that's a great, I like when they do that.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm move to concur.
Chair moves to concur with House amendments. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 448 is now again before the Senate on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 448, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to we go to calendar number 40. Number 40 out of Budget and Tax concurrence.
Senate Bill 378, Senator Jackson, Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland, funding for Southern Maryland Agricultural Development Commission, BNT.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on the House Amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. All the amendments do is sunset the bill after 3 years. We move to concur.
All right. The Chair moves that we concur with the House Amendments. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the Senate concurs with the House Amendments. Senate Bill 378 is now again before the Senate on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 378, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. We now have a not concur. This is number 41 out of Budget and Tax. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 391, the President, Economic Development, More Jobs for Marylanders Program, Extension and Alterations, Budget and Taxation.
Chair recognizes the Chair on the House Amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. The House amendments extend it to 2 years instead of 5 and make other substantial changes to the program. The Budget and Tax does not concur. I'd like to go to committee, to a conference committee.
All right, the Chairman moves that we not concur with the House amendments. Any objections? Without objection, the Senate rejects the House amendments and establishes a conference committee. Clerk will read the message. Lots of messages flying today.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the Senate recede from its position. Should the House prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the Senate appoints Senator Gazzoni Chair, Senator Quarterman, Senator Rosapep. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
Message having been read is adopted. Let's now go to number 42. Uh-oh. Sounds like there's a storm somewhere. Oh, yikes. Okay. Wow. All right. The Senate has been alerted. Let's pray that everybody's okay, actually. I mean, these are good service that was set up here in the state of Maryland. It came through this chamber that the Amber Alert actually exists. So. All right, on number 42, clerk will read the first bill. This is a concurrence calendar out of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Senate Bill 436, Carroll County Senators, Carroll County Board of Education, Member Compensation and Student Representative, EHE.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the House amendments.
Mr. President, this deals with compensation for Board of Ed members. The House amendments make Senate Bill 436 and House Bill 689 identical. Move to concur.
All right, chair moves that we concur with the House amendments. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 436 is now again before the Senate on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 436, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 771, Senator Ferguson, Baltimore City, 46th District, Alcoholic Beverages Licenses, EHE.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee.
Mr. President, is this one you wanted special order till 11:59?
Oh, goodness.
Just kidding. Sorry. The House amendments conform 771 to House Bill 1115 as passed by the Senate and repeals authorization for the issuance of up to 2 Class B BWL licenses in a specified location in the 46th District. The committee happily concurs, Mr. President.
All right. Chair recommends that we adopt the House amendments. You never know with 46th District alcohol licenses. Might be 1201. All right. Any discussion of the amendments? Any objections? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 771 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 771, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 12th.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to change my vote to the green.
Any objections? Without objection, so ordered. I'm running through my head. I wonder what we added in there that would be all right. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 380, Senator Benson, Public Health Emergency and Allergy Treatment Program, Nurse Practitioners, Finance.
All right. Chair recognizes chair of the Finance. Chair of the Finance Committee on the concurrence.
Senate Bill 380 allows nurse practitioners to prescribe and dispense EpiPens at youth camps. The House amendment is corrective and specifies the proper references to registered nurse practitioners. We move to concur.
Chair moves that we concur with the House amendments. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 380 is now again before the Senate on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 380 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 633, Senator Kagan, Public Safety 911 Emergency Telephone System Alterations, Finance.
Chair recognizes chair of the Committee on the House Amendments.
Senate Bill 633 makes various changes to the statutory framework that governs the state's 911 system. The House amendments strike language that would have required jurisdictions to pay 911 specialists an amount that exceeds the state minimum wage and would require the state 911 board to submit its annual report to specified committees and include certain additional information, and require the Maryland Department of Emergency Management to summarize and analyze certain information reports. We move to concur.
Chair moves that we concur with the House amendments. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 633 is now again before the body on third reader for final passage. Chair recognizes Senator from Anne Arundel.
Just a quick question for the floor leader.
Senator may proceed.
It seems like a lifetime ago on this one. Is this the one where there was like $80 million outstanding that hadn't been paid, and this takes the cap off or raises the cap?
Will the chair mind yielding to the sponsor?
Thank you, Senator, and thank you to the Finance Committee for the great work that it did. The House decided to defer to the Senate and to the Commission, the 911 Commission, on allowing local jurisdictions to have the authority to raise the local portion of the 911 fee in the future if it's needed just for 911 expenses. The question that you're asking is about the state portion of the fee, and that is going to continue to be audited by the comptroller. The reports by the comptroller will continue to come in, and immediate remediation is supposed to be happening so that they are collecting the right amount of money from our constituents and delivering it to the 911 board.
I think, and again, it's been a while, but I thought I read in the fiscal note when we sent it over, there was some $80 million or something that was not being recouped or something, and this allowed the locals to either take the cap off or the bill raised that. Can you just clarify that?
Sure, and I know this is a little complicated. So for many, many years, we had a $1 911 fee. 75 cents went to your local county, wherever your address was, where you paid your phone bills, and 25 cents went to the state, which covered just a small portion of the overhead of running a 911 center, in the technology, the hardware, and the software, and all that. What we did with the Carl Henn bill in 2017 was modify the funding structure and have more money, more of the expenses paid by the state. So the state now has more money. We're auditing it, we're making sure that they get the right amount, and we're trying to lighten the load on the counties by having the state cover more of the overhead expenses.
Okay. I'm just trying to have, I can look it up if I can't, I'll try one more time. For the locals, I think there was a cap. Is that cap still in place?
Thank you. The local portion, the local counties had the 75 cents. With the Carl Henn law, we allowed them, after audits showed a continued shortfall from their revenue on their overhead, they could raise up to another 75 cents for a total of a local fee of $1.50 per phone line. What happened is that there have been 6 jurisdictions that have already needed to raise their fee, either to the max or even just a portion, like Baltimore City, I think, did 25 cents. Carroll County did 75 cents. So it really was a range, and still they're falling short. We're still talking about 20, 30, 40% of the cost of 911 being covered by the local portion of the fee. So this enables local jurisdictions to raise the local portion of the fee.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, on the bill, Chair recognizes the senator from the 36th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. If the sponsor of the bill continue to yield, please.
Senator may proceed.
Just go back to a little bit more about what you were saying before, because again, it does have 2 components to this. State has one side of it, the local has another side, and this is designed to allow the locals to raise enough money to help their side of it. But when the bill first came out, we did have some conversation that some of the locals would have to raise it an awful lot to try to get there. And we were trying to find a way can the state support the local side at all? What was the outcome of that, or where do we look in the future to that?
Thank you for the question. We are continuing to have the state try to support and subsidize the local counties. For instance, it used to be that they would buy the computers, buy the software, but then not provide support. So now the state will pay maintenance agreements. The state will pay for the training. The state is even helping with recruitment costs and visibility and marketing. And especially now that the 911 board, with the legislation that we passed last year, creating MDEM, the Maryland Department of Emergency Management, and putting the 911 board underneath MDEM, that we are having a whole infrastructure to create best practices in hiring, in implicit bias training, in recruitment and retention. All of that is a load off of our counties that they don't have to pay for, because if the state isn't paying for it and the county isn't raising the funds, they are paying for the costs of 911 through the general fund, meaning money that should be going to roads, schools, social services, and other expenses.
Right, and that's what I was saying. That's kind of the struggle that at least some of the smaller counties are having. Like you said, this is working.
Not 911.
Not 911. But so are the locals more having to be responsible for the the labor portion of this?
That is the
personnel?
bulk of what they pay.
That's what we're
They
trying to do.
hire and they pay. Now, what the House did, which isn't ideal, but we believe that one of the biggest challenges is in recruitment, training, and retention of these 911 specialists. And as our good friend, the senator from District 32, as we indicated with his son-in-law the other day, who used to serve under the headset, the courageous women and men under the headset, the job is impossibly hard. The PTSD is extraordinary, and they're not paid enough. So the commission recommended that they be paid in excess of minimum wage, which is kind of a no-brainer, and the commission strongly recommended that. That is one of the changes that the Finance Committee chair indicated that the House stripped out. So hypothetically, there could be a county that pays someone minimum wage, the same they could make working at a fast food restaurant, to try to save lives under the headset every day.
Well, difficult topic, and appreciate your advocacy on everything. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right. Senate Bill 633 is on third reader for final passage. Without further discussion, if we're ready for the question, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we call,
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair has 2 minutes to explain her vote.
Thank you. Just super briefly, I know that my colleague from District 9, after her years of working on cybersecurity, just expressed her gratitude. I want to do the same here. For the last 4 years, it has truly been my privilege to work with courageous public servants around the state. We had 911 specialists, we had 911 directors, the disability community, telecommunications companies, cybersecurity experts, and legislators, including the great senator from District 32 and colleagues across the hall as well, and as well as the senator from District 27, started off in the House and then joined us here, and it really has been a labor of love that has helped to save lives. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on this important legislation.
Certainly, thank you, Senator. Any further senators wish to explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 33 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 633, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, this one might be the high drama one of the last 6 hours here. This is a not concur calendar out of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs, number 44. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 202, Chair, Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs Committee, State Board of Examiners in Optometry, Sunset Extension, EHE.
No, but the chair recognizes the chair of the committee. Sunset Board, this is...
High drama indeed, Mr. President.
Yeah.
We can't agree on sunset, so we move to not concur.
All right. Senate moves to not concur. Any objections? Without objection, the Senate rejects the House amendments. The clerk will read the message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House receive from its position. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
All right. Message having been read is adopted. Similar stance. Clerk will read the next bill. He's playing hardball.
Senate Bill 209, Chair, Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs Committee, State Board of Physical Therapy Examiners, Sunset Extension, EHE.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the House amendments.
Mr. President, while we do make light of this, a lot of these boards, they come up for a sunset review, and they're suggestions and corrections, and some come in with some concerns from the independent audit and DLS. And if we see too many concerns, we're not going to give them a free 10 years free to be you and me. So that's why we want to have some more immediate accountability. That's why the committee unanimously has taken these positions. We move not to concur.
The chair moves to not concur. And I was being totally serious, not facetious. This is like, yeah. It's big. Any objections to the senator's motion? Without objection, the Senate rejects the House amendments. Clerk will read the message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate refuses to concur in the House amendments and respectfully requests the House recede from its position. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
Message having been read is ordered adopted. All right, let's take a concurrence calendar. Again, out of Education, Health, Environmental Affairs. Clerk, read the first bill.
Senate Bill 362, Senator Pinsky, Primary and Secondary Education, Virtual Schools Revisions, EHE.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee.
Mr. President, this is a bill we discussed, I believe, Saturday. We had the House version, which was amended. We came to agreement between their version, our version. We think it's a very clear, sharp bill that will help move our state forward and protect our students. This will conform it to HB 1163 as it passed the Senate. Move that we concur with the House amendments.
Chair moves that we concur with the House amendments. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 362 is now on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 33 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 362, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. We do have a third reading calendar here, 69. 69, clerk will read the first bill. Is there another one on the calendar?
876.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, if you could read the second bill on that calendar.
Senate Bill 876, Senator Bailey, Water Pollution, Civil and Administrative Penalty Surcharge, Oyster Repletion Fund, EHE.
Apologies to the senator from the 29th. Wasn't trying to skip the bill there. All right, let's hear from the chair of the committee on the House amendments.
Mr. President, the House amendments conform the bill to HB 1201 as unanimously passed the Senate. It involves oyster repletion for specified water pollution violations in the proximity of an oyster population and include oyster repletion projects. We think it's a good bill and we urge adoption and concur with the House amendments.
All right, the chair moves that we concur with the House amendments. Any discussion? Any objections to the House amendments? Without objection, the House amendments are adopted. Senate Bill 876 is again before the Senate on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 876, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Now we can go to calendar 69. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 73, Delegate Lewis, Baltimore City, Complete Streets and Safe Routes to School Programs Funding.
House Bill 73 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 73 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 176, Delegate Cardin, Court Service of Process Fees Collected by Sheriff.
House Bill 176 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 36 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 176, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 456, Delegate Valentino Smith, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, State Supplement.
House Bill 456 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 456, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 544, Delegate Chi, Health Facilities, Residential Service Agencies, Reporting Requirement.
House Bill 544 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 544, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1005, Delegate Smith, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, Community Violence Prevention Services.
House Bill 1005 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1005, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1433, Delegate Walker, State Highways Designation, Piscataway Highway.
House Bill 1433 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1433, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1448, Delegate Clippinger, District Court, Concurrent Civil Jurisdiction Violation of Ordinances.
House Bill 1448 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1448, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Chair recognizes Senator from Carroll County.
To know if I could change a vote.
I was wondering.
House Bill 176, green to red.
Senators move to green to red. Any objections? Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Senator from the 35th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could I be changed from green to red on House Bill 544?
544 from green to red. Any objections? Without objection, so ordered. Senator from the 2nd District.
Yes, Mr. President, same, House Bill 544 from green to red.
544 green to red. Any objections? Without objection, so ordered. All right. Do we have any concurrences? Nope. All right, let's do this third reading calendar number 68. 68. Clerk will read the first bill.
Mr. President?
Oh, yes, Chair recognizes Senator from...
I just want to acknowledge some individuals in the gallery very quickly.
Certainly,
okay?
Senator may proceed. Yes.
Senate colleagues, I'd like for you to welcome and give a warm Maryland welcome to some guests in the gallery. First, we have Maryland Administrative Chief Judge of the Office of Administrative Hearing, Judge Chung Pak. Can you stand up, Judge, and give him a warm welcome?
Welcome, Judge. Welcome.
And also we have some officers from the Korean American Association of the State of Maryland, President Dr. Hung-Suk Choi.
Welcome.
And her son, and Vice President Sung Mung Chang of the Korean American Association of the State of Maryland. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much, Senator, for welcoming them.
Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing us to do that.
Of course. All right. Let's go to third reading calendar number 68. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 246, Delegate Carr, Open Meetings Act, notices, closed sessions and minutes, retention periods, online posting, and public inspection.
All right. House Bill 246 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 246, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 478, Delegate Polakovich Carr, Economic Development Enterprise Zone Program alterations.
Let's see. House Bill 478 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 478, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 559, Delegate Fisher, Probation Before Judgment, Probation Agreements, Probation Not Deportation.
House Bill 559 is on third reading for final passage. Chair recognizes Minority Whip on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am waiting for an amendment on this bill. I laid over the Senate version. I know it's a House bill. I don't know if we could special order it for a little bit longer.
Any objections if we do it just to the next session? All right. Without objection, the bill will be special ordered to the next session. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 855, Delegate Boyce, Agriculture, Urban Agriculture Water and Power Infrastructure Grant Program and Fund Establishment.
House Bill 855 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 47 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 855, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, we have messages to read very quickly. House Bill 1380. Clerk will read the first message.
House Bill 1380, Delegate P. Young, General Provisions, LGBTQ Veterans, Honorable Discharge, Restoration of Honor Act.
Do we have the message, Madam Clerk? The message to the Senate? That's all right, we got a lot flying, so no worries, no rush, no rush. When you're ready, Madam Clerk.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates refuses to concur in the Senate amendments and respectfully requests the Senate recede from its position. Should the Senate prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the House appoints Delegate P. Young, Chair, Delegate McIntosh, Delegate Novotny. Said bill is returned herewith by order Sylvia Siegert, Chief Clerk.
Message having been read is ordered journalized. Clerk will read the next message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate does not recede in the Senate amendments and agrees to a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The House has appointed Delegate P. Young, Chairman, Delegate McIntosh, Delegate Novotny. The Senate appoints Senator Kagan, Chair, Senator Washington, Senator Gallion. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
Message having been read is adopted. We have another conference committee to set up here. This is House Bill 1276. Clerk will read the first message.
House Bill 1276, Delegate Atara, Baltimore City Youth Data Hub Establishment. By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates refuses to concur in the Senate amendments and respectfully requests the Senate recede from its position. Should the Senate prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the House appoints Delegate Atterbury, Chair, Delegate Attar, Delegate C. Branch. Said bill is returned herewith by order Sylvia Siegert, Chief Clerk.
Message having been read is ordered journalized. Clerk will read the next message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate does not recede in the Senate amendments and agrees to a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The House has appointed Delegate Atterbury, Chairman, Delegate Attar, Delegate C. Branch. The Senate appoints Senator Washington, Chair, Senator Patterson, Senator Riley. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
All right, message having been read is adopted. All right, Senators, the desk is as clear as it's going to get. No? Do we have a conference? I don't have them. I don't think I have it.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
We do have one Senate bill that yes, Chair recognizes Chair of Finance.
I was going to say we've got one second reader from the House.
Yeah, I mean, let's take up this one and then we'll see where we are. Okay. Chair recognizes the Chair of the committee. Sorry, let's read the bill first. That would help. This is calendar number 63 out of Budget and Tax. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 928, Senator Gazzoni, Department of Planning, Maryland Humanities Council appropriation for strengthening humanities investment in nonprofits for equity, SHINE, grant-making initiative. Favorable with two amendments.
Chair recognizes Chair of the committee.
This bill requires the governor to include an annual appropriation of $500,000 to the Maryland Department of Planning to provide a grant for the Maryland Humanities Council to be used for the strengthening humanities investment in nonprofits for equity grant-making initiative. There are two amendments. One is technical. The other makes the bill applicable only to year 2024 and 25. Move adoption of the amendments in the favorable committee report.
All right, the chairman moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments in the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there amendments to the bill or its title?
I'd like to suspend now.
We don't have it printed.
Oh, that's right.
If there are no amendments to the bill or its title, seeing none, Senate Bill 928 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Okay. All right, we have a calendar out of finance. This is number 52. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 866, Delegate She, Genetic Information Privacy, Consumer Protection, and Forensic Genealogy, favorable with 3 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, a lot of Americans increasingly want to know about their ancestry and the like, and so the direct-to-consumer genetic testing has become more and more popular. So House Bill 866, which passed unanimously out of the Finance Committee, establishes much-needed consumer protections related to the use of genetic data by direct-to-consumer genetic testing companies. The bill requires any such company to provide consumers with information regarding the company's policies and procedures, obtain consent from the consumer before collecting, using, or disclosing the consumer's genetic data, and develop and implement policies and procedures to protect that genetic data. The bill also aligns the consent requirements for direct-to-consumer genetic testing databases when used for forensic genealogical DNA analysis and search purposes with the consent standard under the bill. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes. Amendments 2 and 3 clarify an exemption for genetic data and biological samples collected for research conducted in accordance with certain federal and international standards. Mr. President, there was no fiscal impact. I'd move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, the floor leader moves for the adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, Chair recognizes the senator from the 44th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple questions for the floor leader.
Yes, sir.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you very much. As you know, I was the primary sponsor on the Senate side on this piece of legislation, correct?
Correct.
And I raised some concerns that were raised by our Office of Consumer Protection Division, correct?
Yes.
Now, one rarely sees someone standing up on the floor to argue against their own legislation that they brought. However, our Office of Attorney General, the Consumer Protection Division, they wrote, we wanted to reiterate our concerns.
Sorry, apologies, Senator. It just so happens that our Attorney General has come to visit us as we've welcome to our former colleague. Apologies, sir. And we also have our former colleague, also former member of the Baltimore City delegation, Senator Verna Jones Rodwell. So, please,
putting the pressure on
for
here, man. I mean, with the Attorney General here, but I'm prepared. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Senator may proceed. Apologies, Senator.
Thank you very much. And I just want to read from the email. We wanted to reiterate our concerns about genetic privacy bill as it was passed out of the House. Genetic information cannot be altered and provides information not only about the individual, but also about their relatives. Therefore, consumers should have broad privacy rights in connection with their genetic information. First, House Bill 866 creates an entity-level exemption that threatens to exempt all entities that conduct research and also exempts entities that conduct research in accordance, and that was the language that was changed, with federal regulations without actually being subject to federal oversight or enforcement authority. In other words, in the context of direct-to-consumer genetic testing, HB 866 codifies rules that create a gap between the federal regulatory oversight and any enforcement authority of the state. Even if a research project has been reviewed by a registered institutional review board, this does not convey any governmental oversight or enforcement authority. In fact, the Department of Health and Human Services expressly states that registration of an IRB is necessary, but the fact that an institutional review board is registered with the Office of Human Research Protections does not mean that it has determined that the IRB review research in accordance with the requirements of the Department of Human Services Protection of Human Subjects regulations 45 CFR Part 46 and does not mean that the IRB has the appropriate competence or expertise to review a particular research project. Thus, this exemption seeks to exempt entities that do not engage in direct consumer genetic testing in the first place and has the potential of creating a broad loophole for genetic research that would not be subject to meaningful oversight. The Consumer Protection Division has offered a tweak to the language, and that would have been that is subject to in place of in accordance with, that would provide for oversight and regulatory enforcement while at the same time allowing research to continue unfettered. Second, the language that was passed by the House creates an entity-level exception that does not make grammatical sense, and as a result threatens to swallow the entire rule. House Bill 866 excludes from the definition of a direct consumer genetic testing company an entity only when an entity is engaged in collecting, analyzing, retaining, or disclosing genetic data or biological samples in the context of research. This creates an entity-level exemption for the direct-to-consumer genetic testing companies that could be used to exempt the entities entirely. In other words, these entities that conduct research, they would not be direct-to-consumer genetic testing companies and would be exempt from law regardless of their activities. Third, HB 866 excludes from the definition of data, genetic data, de-identified data when used for research projects. The term research projects is overbroad and undefined and does not appear to add anything. We urge an unfavorable on this bill. Now, I say all this, and many of you know, outside of working here in the Senate, I work in an in-house capacity, or the capacity of an in-house attorney for an organization. And one of the things that really burns me up is when you give legal advice to someone in your company and they want to do something else. So I'm trying to be a good doobie, and I'm listening to my attorney general because I'm trying to do a good thing here. As you all know, last year we had a bill that dealt with genetic genealogy that I spent more than a year trying to get right because I know how important it is to regulate these organizations that deal with genetic testing. At the end of this process and working with attorneys that deal with genetic testing and ethicists and the like, we got to the end of the project, and these direct-to-consumer genetic companies, they actually came to me and asked if we might be able to add something on dealing with consumer protections. At the time, I was hesitant because we had done so much work on the criminal side, and I didn't want to get bogged down, so I said, let's do it next year. So next year was this year, it came. They came with some legislation, and again, rarely do you see an industry coming to you asking to be regulated, but they did. But what I wanted to make certain was if I was going to put forth a bill regulating them, that it offered consumers protection. So what I did, not only did I work with some outside attorneys who worked on the bill that we did last year, I wanted to work in concert with our Attorney General's office. And the bill that we had in finance, it sat there, and why did it sit there? It sat there because we couldn't get it right. However, the House passed this bill and it came over, and I've been talking with the industry people, some trying to figure out why exactly they feel like they're being regulated, and this is from pharma and the like. Why do they feel like they're being regulated when you look specifically at the definition, it doesn't do anything to affect their industry, except to do possibly what the AG says it does. So what I told them was, you know what? Rather than pass a bad bill, I will work with you next year to make certain that the 3 words that they were talking about being changed are addressed and we figure it out. Because guess what? Just this past Friday, my county's office of attorney, they came out and they issued this letter of opinion about our charter. You see, and if any of you have following Baltimore County politics, we had a councilwoman who moved out of her district. And the charter said you had to, it said that essentially if you moved out of your district, then you had to be removed. I mean, you would, I think the word was forthwith. So it was one word that our county attorney had to figure out what it meant, forthwith, and whether or not she needed to be gone from that council seat or whether she got to stay in the council seat. It took them months to figure out what the word forthwith meant. So when we talk about just trying to figure out what 3 words means, it's extremely important. So with that, I would like to ask for a special order because I do have an amendment that's being written.
All right. Any objections to the special order?
Yes, I'm going to resist that. For obviously we're talking. First of all, can I just respond to the gentleman's comments, the senator? Okay, let me just boil down.
Just procedurally, just so we all know, senators made the motion to special order to the next session, and so the senator speaking on the motion.
I would resist the special order, and I'll explain why. I hope the body will resist, not the least of which is we're running into a time crunch, and this is very important consumer protection legislation directed to these genetic companies. So first, the email that you mentioned was sent to every member of the committee, in fact was reiterated today. There were 3 concerns raised, 2 of which were dealt with specifically by amendment that were offered today in the committee. So there's only 1 issue left. So 99% of this bill is very much consistent with what our Attorney General's office wants. The only issue, and I think it would be unfortunate to delay this for this issue, and I'll explain why we did make a change to 2 words. Under the language the AG wanted, it had potential impact, unintended, on early clinical research being done in our state for a variety of issues. The way the wording there is, and the reason pharma came in and others. For example, COVID testing, you subject to, under COVID testing and vaccination protocols this past year, there were trials that were not yet subject to federal regulations and standards. They were sort of an early stage clinical trials and such. Under the language that's being proffered, I believe where you're going with this, it would bring unintentionally those a chilling effect on those early clinical research work. We don't want to do that. So the in accordance with, instead of subject to, I don't want to get too into sort of granular about this, but it does allow them to continue to do their early research. They're in compliance with all the federal standards because later down the line, when the FDA looks to approve a particular drug, they'll go back to the beginning. And so what happens in the early clinical trials, they're in compliance with all those rules, but even before they're subject to those federal standards, FDA, CDC, and all the rest. So the only dispute here, all the issues of consent and policies and procedures that are all in this bill, 99.5, comes down to whether you want to chill early clinical research with this subject to word, and we went within accordance because the industry said even though they're not doing direct genetic testing like that, they could get captured, and there'd be conflict between the consents between what's, so anyway, just to boil it down, it's 99% of what the Attorney General wants. There's 2 words different. We're not trying to chill research here in Maryland. We try to pride ourselves of being a leader in the life sciences. So this word subject to, we changed to in accordance with to deal with that. That's all the differences in the bill, notwithstanding that email where 2 of the 3 points they raised were addressed today with amendments that I offered in the committee. Mr. President, I would urge the body to resist the special order. This is important consumer protection. And by the way, yes, it's a House bill, so your amendment can be offered on 3rd reader. I was going to move to suspend the rules but to 3rd, but we're not going to do that because you do mention you have a potential amendment, so I would say that we move forward, and if you have an amendment to offer, you can offer that on 3rd reader.
All right, well, hold on, Senator. Are there any senators who have not yet spoken on the motion that wish to speak? If not, let's hear from the maker of the motion.
Thank you very much. I would like to press for the special order. Again, there's no reason to rush into this. We're talking about ensuring that we regulate this industry properly and not create some gap that's going to take a number of years if we figure out we went down the wrong road to fix. Why not do it right the first time? Mr. President, I would ask for a roll call.
All right, on the roll call, the committee is resist the special order. Question is the special order to the next session. All in favor? Oh, excuse me, roll call. Thank you. It's a long day. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 24 votes in the affirmative, the bill will be special ordered to the appropriate time tomorrow. Excuse me, not tomorrow. Tomorrow day. Next legislative day. All right, clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1018, Delegate Carey, Public Safety and Behavioral Health Improvement Act, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair, let's see. Chair, we have 1018. 1018. Chair recognizes Chair of the committee.
Amendment, as amended, House Bill 1018 establishes new requirements for reports issued by the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services, and requires the office to create a scoreboard of quantifiable safety indicators and other specified data for inclusion in its annual report. Amendment 1 is technical. Amendment 2 strikes provisions related to the establishment of the behavioral health screening program, and 2 specifies training requirements for public safety. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Chair recognizes the senator from District 9 on the amendments?
Thank you, Mr.
Or
President.
on the report?
On the report.
On the report. Senator may proceed.
I just wanted to flag that I had the Senate cross-file of this bill, and we're waiting for an amendment, but I'm going to offer it on 3rd reader.
All right. Hopefully we catch it. Question is on the adoption of the favorable report as amended. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title other than the one that may come on 3rd reader? If not, House Bill 1018 is hereby ordered passed to 3rd reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1274, Delegate Kipke, Prescription Drugs Pharmacy Benefits Managers, Federal 340B Program, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery as the floor leader.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. Colleagues, House Bill 1274 establishes requirements and prohibitions on a pharmacy benefits manager relating to coverage and reimbursement of prescription drugs purchased under the federal 340B drug pricing program. Among other protections, the bill prohibits a PBM from offering lower reimbursements for or refusing to cover prescription drugs purchased under the 340B program. The bill also prohibits a PBM from charging fees, imposing different network participation contract terms, or modifying a beneficiary's copayment based on whether a pharmacy or pharmacist participates in the program. There are no amendments. There is no fiscal impact. I'm unaware of any letters from assistant attorney generals in opposition about it. I don't believe there are any 3rd reading amendments coming. Colleagues, I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 1274 is hereby ordered passed for 3rd reading. Okay, we are truly pausing there for a reason. But we are not totally finished because we do have another senator that we would like to recognize who is will not be with us next year in this capacity, is also, has that silly thought that the executive may be more impactful and may be interested in an executive role. Our senator from the 34th district is, certainly needs no introduction. We've heard a lot from him, and I mean that lovingly, truly. But as a quick refresher of his impact, which is truly a remarkable impact, Of course, has represented Harford County as a member of the Judicial Proceedings Committee, has served as on the Joint Committee on Federal Relations, Joint Committee on Administrative, Executive, and Legislative Review, the Maryland State Commission on Criminal Sentencing Policy, the Court of Appeal Standing Committee on Rules of Practice and Procedure, and, of course, the Veterans Caucus. While the senator from the 34th District has served since 2015, prior to that, he was on the Harford County Council and also was chair of the Town Commission of the Town of Bel Air. Was born in Havre de Grace, Maryland, a Harford County boy, in July of 1958, attended Bel Air High School in Bel Air, Maryland, went to Johns Hopkins University, served for the Maryland Army National Guard 20th Special Forces Group from 76 to 78, the U.S. Army 7th Infantry Division from 80 to 85 in 2006 to 2007, and it was during that period that he deployed to Iraq with the 101st Airborne Division. Was a member of the U.S. Army Reserve from 86 to 90, and from 2003 to 2011 was a Bronze Star recipient, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal, Meritorious Honor Award for Military Service from the U.S. State Department. Of course, he was also a graduate of the University of Baltimore School of Law in 1988. And most importantly, and he would say this, and I hear it all the time from our good friend, the most important part of his life, married with 5 children and 8 wonderful, wonderful grandchildren. And he is now taking this experience and leadership to run for the Harford County Executive. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to the senator from the 34th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. So my wife's not here. She's home watching grandchildren, of course. But I say that special because 9 years ago when I was looking for running for this office, I was still dealing with a lot of the mental trauma of 3 years in Iraq and years traveling the world. And my wife said, you know, this would be good mental therapy. Go ahead for the Senate. Go ahead for the Senate. So my wife is an awesome spouse, but she's not much on mental health therapy. I just want to let you know. So after I filed, and Senator Jacobs, who's the sitting senator who I was replacing, she was retiring, and she said, you should come be a guest on the Senate floor. So I came, and I sat over here on the Senate floor, and she introduced me. I stood up and waved and sat down, and then President Miller was like, wait a second. So wait, stand back up. And he gave me this nice introduction. Actually, he almost read my resume like President Ferguson just did. And I thought, well, that was awfully generous of him. But little did I realize what he was really telling the members of the majority caucus were, pay up, we're going to keep him off the Senate floor. So that was and I appreciated the zeal with which he did that for 2 elections and quite effectively. But what really took me most was that once I came onto the Senate floor, I was always welcomed most generously by not only the president, but all the members of the Senate. And so that we talk about the Senate family, it really is there. And that more than anything else impressed me about the Senate and impacted how I conducted myself. And as you know, it's no secret, I always have zealously conducted my Senate duties. And I really sort of came about that because of my service in Iraq. And I would sit there, and this is a reflection on the National Congress, not this, but I would sit there in Iraq and you'd see them in the dining facilities, you watch the National Congress, and you know, people were dying, your buddies were dying, and there was a lack of, I really felt a lack of integrity, quite frankly, in the discussions and the issues. And I'm not dinging on any party or any person, but it really impacted me very deeply. And so when I came to the Senate, I thought, I will always speak openly and honestly and try to do the right thing. And that's what I've tried to do. But I tried at all times in every one of my arguments to speak to the issues and not about my fellow senators. And I've had great debates on the floor with a number of you, and I always respected you for that. It was always about the issue and not about the senator. So I appreciate that, how we all conducted ourselves. So as I prepare to leave the Senate, I was reminded of you all are familiar with this, when Benjamin Franklin reflected at the close of the Continental Congress, and he was looking at the president's chair behind the George Washington's chair, who was presiding officer, there was a sun carved into the top of the chair, and he made a famous quote about, "I was always unsure if this was a rising or a setting sun, but now that you've confirmed the Constitution, I know it's a rising sun." So I had sort of a similar experience here, and it came about in the daily prayer, because we stand here and I love the daily prayer, that's great, but I stand here and you're kind of looking down, and of course, what do you see? You see the state of Maryland down there. And I took a lot from that. You're sitting here every morning and you're kind of cogitating on that. But what really stood out was that this farmer and this fisherman, and they're holding. If you look at them, they're holding on either side of the seal there, and that's what unites them. They're not standing on common land. And you think about farmers and fishermen and how one derives their livelihood from the sea, and other entirely from the land. And the sea can be just sucking and the land's doing great, or vice versa. So they have really, their economic interests are totally separable. The farmers could say, to heck with the sea, and vice versa. And I really took that to heart. And because we strive so often here to try to figure out issues that are tough to relate to each other. And I look at, just for example, we're blessed to have be on the edge of Washington, D.C., the capital of the most powerful nation in the earth, the most wealthy capital, and the economic spin-off from that is tremendous. But of course, it dies rapidly with each mile you proceed outside of Washington. You finally get outside and it's not there. So we really have a challenge there in that how do we relate to each other oftentimes. And it's like that farmer and that fisherman who hold on either side of the seal, and they're united by this common state, but then also the words around there that speak to God's blessings. They're united by a loving God that wants to bestow their blessings. So my hope is that as we go forth from here, as I go forth from here, that you all will continue to work and continue your efforts to represent the entire state on all the issues and all the many challenges that we have going into the future, and try to reconcile those really, really difficult differences that are not, nobody's right or wrong, they're just different, right? And trying to accommodate that. So I do want to, I want to thank my Jenna's up here, my chief of staff, for her loyal service before I leave, and of course my wife, and Gail Morton, who's my longtime secretary. I want to thank Mr. President for his great sense of humor, because like his predecessor, you battle here when you walk off the floor, and it's sort of a nudge and, hey, nice job, whatever, high five. We don't carry it off the floor. It stops right here, and we're people, and that's of course so important. I want to thank my fellow members of the Harford County delegation. We never have delegation meetings because we pretty much resolve everything between walking out of here and getting back to the office building, and so I appreciate their cooperation and them allowing me to be the chairman. But most of all, I want to thank all of you for your friendships and for your really genuine hard work on behalf of the people of the Senate. My colleague from JPR just talking a little bit about all the hard work that his hard work on these bills, and he's one of those people who I have to listen to, because sometimes he throws it out and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm with you on this, and he'll give me a day. I'll come back and I think, wait a minute, I think I am with you. So I appreciate that, and so many of you having those similar experiences. I remember having a debate once with the senator from Montgomery County, where she was a floor leader, and we were bashing it out on the Senate floor, and we finished that, and I thought, oh, there goes that friendship. and I saw her coming into the office, into the lobby of the office building over there, and I saw her just looking at me. I thought, ooh, just to keep your cool, just take it and just be friends. She walked over to me and she said, I am so glad you pointed out how stupid that bill was, because they made me be floor leader, and I just wanted to, I thought, well, you did a really good job for not supporting. My respect is, but like, that was an awesome job for not supporting that bill. This goes back years ago, so I'm not going to discuss the bill. But anyway, colleagues, it's been, but it's that kind of, those kind of memories and stories. I want to thank the chairman of the Judicial Proceedings Committee, as well as his predecessor, for really a lot of great debate, vice chair as well, and all the members of that committee. We've had some really tough issues, some tough times, but they've all been handled late into the evening to try to turn out the best product. I have a great respect for that and for both of those gentlemen as well as their predecessors. Again, so thank you all. God bless you all, and hope to see you as the next county executive from Harford County. Thank you.
Well said, Senator. Well said. Chair recognizes the chair of the Judicial Proceedings Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The other night I had the honor of roasting and toasting the senator, but so I'll keep it more light this time. That was funny though, right? It was good. All right. But when I first came to the Judicial Proceedings Committee, there were 3 folks there, and permission to use the senator's name. Senator Wayne Norman, and I spoke to this again earlier, Senator Huff and Senator Castley, that I just learned a tremendous amount about preparation for committee and diving into each committee bill and understanding committee dynamics and understanding the law before I brought an idea before the committee. And I just want to thank you for, first and foremost, just making me a better senator and the committee a better committee. You have rendered expert service in this body. In committee, which you all don't see. You see him get up all the time, but you don't see the laborious, like the work in the salt mines, sitting at a desk, going line by line, as you can all imagine this happening, but it happens, and making good bills better, killing off bad bills, keeping us on track. I mean, just expert service, expert statesman, expert service rendered in our committee. Also, just a consummate public servant. I talked about this before, but 3 deployments, military service, father of 5, grandfather of 8. And I remember one during the interim, not last interim, but the one prior, I went up to your district. You took me around your district. You took me to schools, to community centers, and to a pretty good bar, too. But it was, you clearly cared about your community. You knew every nook and cranny of your community. And that just touched me, and that you come up here and you advocate tirelessly and fearlessly for your community, and every aspect of it. Rich, poor, black, white, you think about them every day. And that comes through in your committee work. It came through when we had a chance to tour your district. And so I just want to say thank you for that. But also a family man, which is the most important. The few times we had a chance to just speak over the interim and during COVID, he was crawling with grandchildren. You know, he had 2 new grandchildren came into the world just this last year. 3 new grandchildren. And every time I called him, he was with one of them. And that is just a real measure of a man, and a real family man. And so I just want to say thank you. It has been an honor to serve with you and alongside of you, and our body, and I said this again with Senator Huff, our body and our committee will be worse off for you. So Harford County's gain is our loss, but thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from the 35th District, Harford County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've had the pleasure of knowing the senator from the 34th District for about 25 years. When you said he's a Harford County boy, you have that right. What comes from a very well-known family in Harford County. Their service, not just with my colleague, but much of his family has served their country and the state of Maryland. And as he mentioned, he's the chair of the Harford Senate delegation. There's only 3 of us. And you know, when I came here 4 years ago, I was brand new. I'd never been elected to anything except for at the Volunteer Fire Company. And it's a lot to take in when you're a new person. And first off, he had a delegation meeting at his house. His lovely wife had food there for myself, the senator from District 7 as well. And really just brought me in and made me feel a part of this Senate family even before I was the inauguration. And he mentioned about being the chair of the delegation and how we have our meetings almost walking back and forth. And that's been true for 4 years. The 3 of us have been able to really work well together. And it's just been a great relationship. But the other thing being new, we're sitting in the back row. I've got to see his back a lot because, as you know, he stands up a lot. But it's been great to be able to just tap him on the shoulder and permission to use the senator's name and say, hey, Bob, what do you think about this? Or why'd you vote against this in your committee? And it's been a mentorship thing, and it's greatly appreciated. The esteemed chair of the committee talked about family, and the senator always talking about his grandchildren and how we all know how important that is to him. So I've learned a lot from you in the years, especially the last 4 years. I just want to appreciate your leadership in Harford County and also for your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Senator from District 7, Hartford County as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you know, I had the honor of serving as minority leader when the senator came into office. And part of my job, and the minority whip sitting to my left, former minority whip, was, you know, on floor debates, getting somebody up who's going to talk. And it's tough. And I remember when I used to sit in the back, I never got up, barely. I think I got up one time during an entire session. But up front, you're up all the time, and you're always trying to get people up. Senator, I'm going to use the blanket of the retirees that we can say their names. So Senator Castley would get up no problem. And I don't think people listening to the outside realize that the barometric pressure changes in this chamber when you hear the Senate President say, the senator from District 34, of the gasp from people, because the pressure builds up because you know, what's he going to say? How's he going to go? But he does an incredible job. I mean, he knows law. He knows the Constitution. And whether we like it or not, if he's on your opposing side, he's making your debate better. He makes you better. He makes your bill better. And that's what we need. And, you know, if you think of the debates that have taken place in this chamber over the last 120 years, I think some of the best have taken place between him and the former senator that used to sit right here, who's now in Congress, Congressman Raskin. The two of those, I used to sit up front and just watch them mesmerized. The way they would go back and forth on law and the Constitution was amazing. And I thank you for that, because you really did bring a lot. You know, as I said it when we had our caucus goodbye, that the Senate's loss is going to be Hartford County's gain. You know, the same thing with everybody who's retiring. You bring an amazing amount to this chamber. It's tough. Everything that we do, you know, we're friends. What people don't realize on the outside, we've said it before, Washington's not like Annapolis. Annapolis, we get along. We fight like dogs and cats, brothers and sisters on this floor, but when the debate's over, we shake hands. And with Senator from District 34, that's what happens. He gets into it, he fights, he gets angry, he gets mad, but when it's over, give him about a half hour, he'll cool down, and you can shake his hand. Senator, it's been an honor. I'm going to miss you. Fortunately, I'll see you down here next session when we open up. Sitting over here on the left side is the county executive, so thank you.
Thank you. Senator from Baltimore County.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just have to say, sometimes when you get up, I'm like, how long is it going to be? But no, in all honesty, I have learned a lot from you, and it just, a lot of things that you say really, really make sense to me, and I know you know the law, and that's what's very important, so I wish you all the best and appreciate all your friendship. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from District 4. Frederick County.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. I was just say the senator, he reminds me of there's the Teddy Roosevelt, the man in the arena, who spends himself on a worthy cause. I mean, that's just use the senator's name. Senator Castley, he really works harder than almost anybody else. I mean, it's almost too hard. In committee, we may go on at 10 o'clock at night, and he's still going line by line through every bill. And it's really, there's a lot of times where I'm just done. I'm toast. I can't read anymore. And Senator Castley, let me look. I'm still looking at it. I'm still reading it. So, I mean, he just works so hard. But it's funny, when he first came in, he would ask so many questions and fight so hard, and he'd be going in committee asking questions. And the chairman, Senator Zirkin, would come to me and say, "Can you make him stop?" So I go over to him. I say, "Hey, can you stop asking questions?" He say, "No, I hate this bill. I'm not going to stop." So I go back to Senator Zirkin. He hates this bill. He's not going to stop. He said, "Fine, just tell him we will never vote it if he just stops and be quiet." So I go to him and say, "The bill's dead." And he goes, "Okay, fine, now I'll stop." So, but he does really work hard, and it is going to be a loss, I know, for the committee, because there's many a times where you can't follow everything, you can't read anything. Sometimes I'm just mentally exhausted, and I know I'm like, well, Bob's there, he's reading it, he's looking through it. He really missed his calling in life. He could have been a great bill drafter, because there's so many times he even just fixes bad bill drafting. So, but anyways, I just want to give a shout out, because I know if you're like me, a lot of times at the end of the day, you're not going to be on the second floor for all the bill signings and all that stuff, but you really have a huge impact as far as the bills and things that go through here. So thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Final word from the Minority Leader.
Thank you. I just wanted to shout out to, if I could use his name, Senator Castley. One thing is, he's always prepared, and you know, I see sometimes the fear in the eyes of what in the world is he going to ask me and can I handle it. Well, I had that experience once. Somehow I got to be the floor leader for the comptroller's department when we started to shift it to another place. And Senator Castley got up and started asking me questions. And I thought I was prepared, and I answered a bunch, so we had a little break. I think they special ordered it. So I went back to Bob. I said, why don't you ask the sponsor of the bill questions next time? So he kind of shifted it over there. But I'll tell you, on this side, we're always kind of concerned because Bob is so passionate. It's like, what's he going to say? How are we going to respond to that, some of the comments he says? But I can tell you, this session's been tough. It's been a lot of work. People get tired, exhausted. I was talking to him the other day, and I said, well, we've got this stuff come up on the floor. He goes, I'm done. It's a mess. I'm just done. So the next morning, a bill comes up. He's the first one to get up. I'm like, I guess he got a good night's sleep, and he went after it. But the thing is, you know, we see each other as senators down here. I've got to go up to his district a couple times, have some lunch, get in his house. And they're real people behind the senators. And I'm just really impressed, not only as a veteran, loves his district, but he loves his family. And he's just a great friend, and hope to keep that for many years to come. Thank you.
Well said, Senator. Thank you.
Very quick.
Yeah, very briefly from Minority Whip.
Very quickly, Mr. President, I won't repeat what's been said about my friend, Senator Castley. The only thing I was going to say to close this is when Harry Truman gave his farewell address to Congress, it was said that there wasn't a dry eye on the Democratic side and there wasn't a dry seat on the Republican side. So I've often thought if that could be Senator Castley could give a farewell address, that might be somewhat similar. But that's the way I remember Bob, Senator Castley in committee, is he really could give it too. But everything that's been said is true. He's a total professional and really has taught many of us so many things. So just wanted to say that in closing. He's meant a lot to me too as a mentor and friend.
Thank you, Senator. Well, we wish him the absolute best in his next endeavors, and 6 more hours to go. Let's count how many times we can get how many more bills we've got. So, all right, we do have to read one message. Apologies, we got to read this message to get the conference committee started. This is on House Bill 942. Clerk will read the first message.
House Bill 942, Delegate Lukey, horse racing, satellite simulcast betting facilities and permit holder alterations. By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the House of Delegates refuses to concur in the Senate amendments and respectfully requests the Senate recede from its position. Should the Senate prefer a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses, the House appoints Delegate Atterbury Chair, Delegate Buckle, Delegate Patterson. Said bill is returned herewith by order. Sylvia Siegert, Chief Clerk.
Message having been read is ordered journalized. Clerk will read the next message.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, the Senate does not recede in the Senate amendments and agrees to a conference committee to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses. The House has appointed Delegate Atterbury Chairman, Delegate Buckle, Delegate Patterson. The Senate appoints Senator Gazzoni Chair, Senator King, Senator Salling. Said bill is returned herewith by order Nicole Alexander, Secretary.
All right, message having been read is adopted. So we'll get that one running before we go. All right, we're looking at 7:30. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just checking to see if my blue light was working up there. I just wanted to make a guest announcement if possible.
Senator may proceed. We got to do committee announcements, but Senator, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to take the time out to recognize a special woman in many of these folks in this chamber's life. Some know her as Professor. Some know her as delegate, some know her as Madam Chair, but many of us from the City Senate delegation know her as mentor. If we could just take the opportunity to recognize Dr. Salima Marriott Gibbs.
Welcome, welcome. For what it's worth, the first campaign I ever worked on, back in 2006. Long history. Yes. Let's hold on.
Committee first.
Let's do committee. All right. Chair recognizes the chair of finance. We're going to come back at 7:30.
We'll let them have a little time off.
All right. Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Mr. President, EHE will check in at 7:15 for any concurrences.
7:15.
7:15.
All right. Budget and tax.
7:25 in the Red Room.
7:25 in the Red Room. Judicial proceedings is good. Any other announcements, delegations, joint committees, anything? All right, Senator from Baltimore County.
Yes, an introduction. They've been waiting for a while. I think they're up there, but I can't see. But
behind us.
Yeah. Oh, they're there? Okay. In the gallery, I have 2 interns, and they have been great this year. I can't say enough. Nathan Daly and Rachel Keys. Nathan is currently a junior at the University of Maryland, College Park studying public policy. Rachel is currently attending Anne Arundel Community College, and she hopes to go to Johns Hopkins University. And I want to welcome them both and thank them. But I also want to say Sam Deschneaux and Jennifer Staley, they're my angels. And I have to say that at the beginning of session, Evan had left me, and Sam just took the reins and went on and did a great job, and Jennifer as well. So thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome. We thank them for their support and excellent work. All right, anything else for the good of the order before we adjourn? If not, clerk will call the roll for a quorum call.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until 7:30 p.m.